Ramses II Ramses, Ancient Egyptian, Armiz Ramazes, Ancient Egyptian pronunciation, c. 1303 BC, 1213 BC, commonly known as Ramesses the Great, was an Egyptian pharaoh. He was the third ruler of the 19th dynasty, along with Thutmose III of the 18th dynasty. He is often regarded as the greatest, most celebrated, and most powerful pharaoh of the New Kingdom, which itself was the most powerful period of ancient Egypt. He is also widely considered one of ancient Egypt's most successful warrior pharaohs, conducting no fewer than 15 military campaigns, all resulting in victories, excluding the Battle of Kadesh, generally considered a stalemate. Pharaoh, reign, 1279–1213 BC. Predecessor, Seti I. Successor, Merneptah-Sort, Nefertari, Isetnefret, Mother Nefer Meritamen, Bintaneth, Nebetawi, Hinutmire. Children, 88103 List of children of Ramesses I. Father, Seti I. Mother, Tuya, born, c. 1303 BC, died, c. 1213 BC, aged 90–91. Burial, Covey 7 Monuments, Abu Simbel, Bidos, Ramesseum, Uxor, Karnak. Dynasty, 19th dynasty. In ancient Greek sources, he is called Ozymandias, derived from the first part of his Egyptian language regnal name, Usermiate Setipenri. Ramesses was also referred to as the Great Ancestor by successor pharaohs and the Egyptian people. For the early part of his reign, he focused on building cities, temples, and monuments. After establishing the city of Pi-Ramesses in the Nile Delta, he designated it as Egypt's new capital and used it as the main staging point for his campaigns in Syria. Ramesses led several military expeditions into the Levant, where he reasserted Egyptian control over Canaan and Phoenicia. He also led a number of expeditions into Nubia, all commemorated in inscriptions at Beit el-Wali and Jerf Hussein. He celebrated an unprecedented 13 or 14 Est festivals, more than any other pharaoh. Estimates of his age at death vary, although 90 or 91 is considered to be the most likely figure. Upon his death, he was buried in a tomb Covey 7 in the Valley of the Kings. His body was later moved to the royal cache, where it was discovered by archaeologists in 1881. Ramesses' mummy is now on display at the National Museum of Egyptian Civilization, located in the city of Cairo. Ramesses II was born a civilian. His grandfather, Ramesses I, was a vizier and military officer during the reign of Pharaoh Hormib, who appointed Ramesses I as his successor. Ramesses II was approximately 11 years old at the time of his grandfather's accession. After Ramesses I died, his son, Seti I, became king, who designated his son, Ramesses II, as Egypt's Prince Regent. Ramesses II was approximately 14 years of age at the time. Most Egyptologists believe that Ramesses formally assumed the throne on May 31, 1279 BC, based on his known accession date, 3 Shimu. Day 27. The Jewish historian Josephus, in his book Contrapionum, which translated Manethos Egyptiaca, assigned Ramesses II, whom he called Armises Miamen, reign length of 66 years and 2 months. This figure is essentially confirmed by Papyrus Gurub Fragment L, where year 67, I Akhet day 18 of Ramesses II is followed on the next dated line by a year change to year 1. 2 Akhet day 19 of Ramesses I's son, Merneptah, which means that Ramesses II died about 2 months into his 67th regnal year. In 1994, Aja Pedin attempted to show that Ramesses II died in the time interval between 2 Akhet day 3 and 2 Akhet day 13 on the basis of Theban Graphita 854 plus 855, which was dated to Merneptah's year 1 2 Akhet day 2. However, the workman's village of Deir el-Medina preserves a fragment of a mid-20th dynasty necropolis journal. P. Turin, Provi.nr. 8538, Recto, I. 5. Unpublished, which records that the date 2 Akhet day 6 was a free feast day for the sailing of Uzamer Setipenri I. Ramesses I, as the Egyptologist Robert J. Damari notes in a 2016 paper, the feast called Nubilu, sailing, was clearly observed in Thebes, or at Deir el-Medina during the Ramesside period, in remembrance of the passing of deified royals. The sailing of Amos Nefertari was celebrated on 2 Shimu 15, the sailing of Seti I on 3 Shimu 24, and the sailing of Ramses II on 2 Akhet 6. The date of Ramses I's recorded passing on 2 Akhet Day 6 falls perfectly within Egypt. Pedon's estimated timeline for this king's death in the interval between 2 Akhet Day 3 and 2 Akhet Day 13. This means that Ramses II died on year 67, 2 Akhet Day 6 of his reign, after ruling Egypt for 66 years, 2 months and 9 days. Early in his life, Ramses II embarked on numerous campaigns to restore possession of previously held territories lost to the Nubians and Hittites, and to secure Egypt's borders. He was also responsible for suppressing some Nubian revolts and carrying out a campaign in Libya. Though the Battle of Kadesh often dominates the scholarly view of Ramses I's military prowess and power, he nevertheless enjoyed more than a few outright victories over Egypt's enemies. During his reign, the Egyptian army is estimated to have totaled some 100,000 men, a formidable force that he used to strengthen Egyptian influence. Battle against Shirdan pirates. In his second year, Ramses II decisively defeated the Shirdan sea pirates who were wreaking havoc along Egypt's Mediterranean coast by attacking cargo-laden vessels traveling the sea routes to Egypt. The Shirdan people probably came from the coast of Ionia, from southwest Anatolia, or perhaps also from the island of Sardinia. Ramses posted troops and ships at strategic points along the coast, and patiently allowed the pirates to attack their perceived prey before skillfully catching them by surprise in a sea battle, and capturing them all in a single action. Astele from Tanis speaks of their having come in their warships from the midst of the sea, and none were able to stand before them. There probably was a naval battle somewhere near the mouth of the Nile, as shortly afterward, many Shirdan are seen among the pharaoh's bodyguard, where they are conspicuous by their horned helmets having a ball projecting from the middle, their round shields, and the great Naui II swords with which they are depicted in inscriptions of the Battle of Kagedot in that sea battle. Together with the Shirdan, the pharaoh also defeated the Lukalakwa, possibly the people later known as the Lycians, and the Kursaw, Sheklish peoples. The immediate antecedents to the Battle of Kadesh were the early campaigns of Ramses II into Canaan. His first campaign seems to have taken place in the 4th year of his reign, and was commemorated by the erection of what became the first of the commemorative stelae of Nar el-Kalb near what is now Beirut. The inscription is almost totally illegible due to weathering. In the 4th year of his reign, he captured the Hittite vassal state of the Amurru during his campaign in Syria. Second Syrian campaign. Main article, Battle of Kadesh. The Battle of Kadesh in his 5th regnal year was the climactic engagement in a campaign that Ramses fought in Syria against the resurgent Hittite forces of Mu'talis. The pharaoh wanted a victory at Kadesh both to expand Egypt's frontiers into Syria and to emulate his father Seti I's triumphal entry into the city just a decade or so earlier. He also constructed his new capital, High Ramesses. There, he built factories to manufacture weapons, chariots, and shields, supposedly producing some 1,000 weapons in a week, about 250 chariots in 2 weeks, and 1,000 shields in a week and a half. After these preparations, Ramesses moved to attack territory in the Levant, which belonged to a more substantial enemy than any he had ever faced in war, the Hittite Empire. Ramesses' forces were caught in a Hittite ambush and outnumbered at Kadesh when they counterattacked and routed the Hittites, whose survivors abandoned their chariots and swam the Orontes River to reach the safe city walls. Ramesses, logistically unable to sustain a long siege, returned to Egypt. Third Syrian campaign. Egypt's sphere of influence was now restricted to Canaan while Syria fell into Hittite hands. Canaanite princes, seemingly encouraged by the Egyptian incapacity to impose their will and goaded on by the Hittites, began revolts against Egypt. In the 7th year of his reign, Ramses II returned to Syria once again. This time, he proved more successful against his Hittite foes. During this campaign, he split his army into two forces. One force was led by his son,